Robert Jan, good afternoon.
Alon, hello, how are you?
Good to see you, buddy. We want
Like,
to do our internal joke, that we always say when we speak to each other. They'll really think we're weirdos. How's
yes,
everything?
good. And with you?
Very good. Thank you very
Good.
much. Are you at Fratello HQ in the Netherlands?
Yes, we have a HQ in The Hague in the Netherlands, and I have my own office, and yeah, that's where I'm now, basically.
Good to see you. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Things are gearing up. I know you have been traveling a bit more. The team is growing, so
Yeah,
you're turning into a entrepreneurial manager, huh?
yeah, I would say unfortunately, but I have to say I also like it. It's turning into a business, and that requires a bit of different attention points. But I don't like to be a manager of people, but I like to manage a business. Yes,
But between us, this Rob Nuts is difficult to handle, isn't he?
he's in that case. Yeah.
I'm lucky to have him on the show on the 1st of October. So, guys, we're doing a twofold Fratello Watches session on the ACE list. Thank you for all the viewers for watching. Robert Jan Broer is not only a friend, a longtime friend, early 2000s. He's the founder of Fratello Watches, and he can explain why it's called Fratello. Please introduce yourself, Robert Jan, and
Yes.
explain to us why you started Fratello.
Okay, I am Robert Jan, or RJ. I founded Fratello in 2004, and Fratello means, it's Italian, it means brother, and that's basically my last name in Dutch. Broer means brother, but Broer, I think it's only pronounced as Broer in the Netherlands, and I think if English people would see it and read it, they would say Brewer or something, and in Germany it's Breur. So the pronunciation is different everywhere, and I thought Fratello, it's the same sound, same pronunciation everywhere. Let's use that. But we have grown quite a bit, like you said. We are with I think 13 people at the moment. So it should be Fratelli, plural. But we also have some ladies on board, so yeah, that makes it more difficult. But so we stick with Fratello.
All right, thank you so much for the intro. I will want to dive in why you started the nowadays online magazine. I don't think we calling it a blog does it justice anymore.
No.
But before we do the 7 personal DA's list questions, we obviously have to do our. It became a tradition now because this is the 6th episode already. The wrist check. What are you wearing today, Robert Jan, from your vast collection?
Very surprising, perhaps. And I just showed another watch on my Instagram feed, but actually from this morning on, I've been wearing this.
Ooh.
It's the Speedmaster Caliber 321, and as you know, Alon, you follow me on Instagram. I wear my gold Speedmaster very often. It's a bit of my bit snobbish to say, perhaps, but it's a bit of my daily beater.
Why is it snobbish? Why is it meant to be?
Yeah, which of course a bit of nonsense, of course, but yeah, it has become one of my daily favorites, the gold one. And since I picked up this Caliber 321 early July, I think it has been the watch that I wore the most last summer. Yeah, it's beautiful. The bracelet is awesome. It's more or less the same bracelet as the Apollo 11 from last year. But all the fun, of course, is in the Caliber 321, which is a historical movement that was discontinued in '68 that they redid again. And I've been to the workshop where they create these watches and movements, and it's pretty awesome. So I'm really proud to have this watch on my wrist. Yes.
We had some questions come in from viewers that couldn't join live into the session, and one of them is about that. So we'll jump into that later. I also want to ask you later why its nickname is Ed White, but we'll jump into that. And I want to ask you before I forget. I know you had vintage 321 calibers in your collection, like I do.
Yep.
How that compares in look and feel, and when you click the pushers, but we'll do that later. So especially for you, I changed my background. Obviously,
very good.
Speedy, and like you, I also have a few Speedmasters in my private collection, so I racked my brain which one to wear. I was thinking of wearing my 2 watches my wife gave me for the birth of our children, and which she engraved with their names and dates, but I had to honor you.
Very good.
Speedy Tuesday 1 and 2.
Very nice.
You deserve it. I'm proud of you that you guys got this off the ground. We got bombarded with the question.
Number 3?
Number 3 coming? So let's just throw it in. Let's get it over with.
Okay, I will try to.
A hint, a scoop, something. Is there number 3 coming?
There will be a number 3. It's not this year, as I've indicated in the past. This year, there will be another big release with Omega, October 5th, the Snoopy. But I have very good hopes that we will see something very nice next year, but it's all under discussion. Not only if there's going to be one next year, but also already on design, all those kind of things we keep discussing with Omega, but you have to understand Omega produces a lot of watches per year, so this is just a small thing, but on the other hand, it's also a huge project, important project, and if we do a ST3, it should be done right. So we need to allocate a proper amount of time and energy and capacity that's also needed from their side to spend on a third Speedy Tuesday watch. Yeah.
Awesome. So we're super excited for it. Maybe a fun story to tell. Omega was one of the first to adopt a system from the sneaker world. You and I love sneakers. In the sneaker world, you have a concept called quick strike. So they secretly drop a launch of a product. And when you snooze, you lose. You can't buy them.
Yeah.
So you guys did that on the first Speedy Tuesday, which we're seeing in display. I'm wearing it on a leather strap today.
Very
so
good.
I snoozed on that one. The first thing I did is I said, Robert, the text message, dude, can you hook me up? He couldn't. And Omega's transparent about it. You guys at Fratello or the Fratelli are transparent about it. First come, first serve.
Yep.
A beautiful system of working brand, you guys and the retailers. So when you got one allocated, you could choose your preferred retailer, including Ace. So we had the honor to deliver over a dozen, I believe, but none was mine. And the funny thing is, I bought both aftermarket. And you can imagine, for me as a retailer, you really gotta love a watch to buy it aftermarket.
True. Yeah.
So that's the wrist check for today, especially for you. My birthday gift from my parents is a tie.
Space tie.
Space tie. So I did that for you. So that's how happy I am you're on the show. So thank you.
Very cool. Very good to hear. I'm also happy to be on your show because we know each other for a long time.
Yeah, we go way back. We share the hardcore passion for watches, for marketing. We brainstormed. We actually worked a lot together. So always a true pleasure. I was actually happy that our mutual friend Gira joined the team. Rob joined the team. So we say soort zoekt soort, huh?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. And we have some cool things in the pipeline together. Rob did the little spoiler alert, didn't he, in one of the first episodes with Bremont? Don't know if you caught that.
No, I haven't seen it. Sorry. Yeah.
So everybody should look at the first episode of the Ace List on theacelist.com. Shall we do the first 7 questions from the Ace List?
Yes, I prepared them for you this morning.
Okay, good.
So I have them on my other screen, so I'm a bit looking up to the answers.
Good.
Because I want to do it right. I don't want to shoot from the hips. I want to give it some thought and to really answer your questions in an appropriate way.
I appreciate that. And I'm before you think I'm a nutcase, I'm reading them out loud because we afterwards host this episode as audio-only podcast.
Yeah.
So that's why I read out all the questions, although you can see them on the screen. So our first question is, what watch or jewel is your favorite and why?
Well, I only wear one jewel, and it's a wedding ring. And I bought it at Ace Jewelers in 2009. And so wearing it here, platinum ring, because that went better with steel watches, as you said, I remember. Yes, exactly.
Advice?
And I have 2 little diamonds on the inside. Also on your advice, I believe. And my wife has a ring with diamonds, of course, on the outside. I mean, that's, she has to, I guess. But to answer your question, we are here for watches, not jewels. What watch is your favorite and why? It's the Omega Speedmaster. Well, not a big surprise there. But it was my first serious mechanical watch from a brand that has been in my family for a long, long time. Not only my grandparents, but also my great-grandfather had an Omega watch, a Constellation pipe band from the 60s. So the brand has a special meaning for me. It goes back into the family. But with regards to the Speedmaster, I was the first in the family to buy a Speedmaster. And for me, it was a matter of aesthetics. I fell in love with the aesthetics of the watch. A very clean dial, a very readable chronograph. So almost a bit specifications-wise, I went through a list of watches, and the Speedmaster was on top. It looks very good on a bracelet, but also on a strap. So there you also have a bit of it's a versatile watch. You can wear it a bit dressed up, like you are today, or like me in a polo shirt, how I'm most of the time. And then, of course, there's the role of the watch during the space race in the 60s and being the first watch worn on the moon. I've told this often, but my father always told me Omega was the first brand that put a watch on the moon. And that didn't mean much to me when I was younger, and I didn't know what watch that was at the time. And later on, I learned it was a Speedmaster. And there's no better testimonial than that story. And it's not some made-up bullshit story that you see a lot in the watch industry. We see that a lot these days, unfortunately. On the other hand, there's nothing wrong with a good story, made up or real. But I think this is just the best story there is when it comes to watches.
I agree.
Yeah,
it's that crazy. You can't even make it up back in the day. I'm talking in the 60s. So
exactly. So yeah, that's my favorite watch. And I have other watches. Many people ask me, "Are you a one brand guy? Are you a mono brand collector?" Like my friend George Kramer. He's very much Cartier focused. Of course, I'm very much Omega focused, but on Fratello, we cover any brand or every brand that interests us, and I have my share of other watches as well. Here on my desk is I also bought it from Ace at some point. A G-Shock. I have a Grand Seiko in my bag with me. So yeah, I'm a watch lover. So I purchase my swatches sometimes. I purchase watches I really want to wear. But if I look at what I really collect, that's Speedmasters.
Awesome. I'm deviating a bit, but it's actually interesting that you raised that topic. What is it that makes you a watch freak? Why do you love watches so much? And like us, and that's why we click, we're not watch snobs. So we don't care about the value or if somebody else has it or doesn't has it. And like me, you also have G-Shocks, which are digital. I think we mutually love an X33. So
at some point, I had so many of these at one point that it didn't make sense anymore.
Yeah, so what does it literally, no pun intended, that makes you tick? So when did you get infected with that bug?
As a kid, and I have no background like you in a family of jewelers, and sometimes a bit jealous about that. But my dad loved watches, but not like I do. I love watches. He knew his watch. He knew Omega. He knew, in the end, he knew Speedmasters. But my parents never really cared about it or spent money on these things. And for me, it was a very authentic thing, basically. As a kid, I loved Casios. I loved the Swatch watches when they were there in the 80s. I'm from 77. As a kid, I also loved these Camel Trophy watches. Just by the looks, they were tough looking. They looked good. So it was very much aesthetic driven. And yeah, it was something perhaps that you always carry with you. You could spend money on something that you would just always carry with you, and that's so you always enjoy something that you spend money on, and I think that's yeah. And I think the concept of time is interesting, but that doesn't ring a bell when you're a kid. That doesn't make sense. But I also remember that I lived in a middle class area, and our neighbors were just the same as us, just middle class. And at some point, our neighbor, he came up to my parents, and I was standing outside as well. I remember exactly the place and the moment. And he said, "Oh, listen, I bought this new watch, and I'm super happy with it." And it was a Seiko watch, quartz. I realized later on, and it had a calendar and a moon phase. And he was explaining all these functions, and I was really, oh, that's so cool. And so I was really interested in that. this was in a watch, and that a watch could have all this functionality, and whether it was mechanic or quartz, that didn't mean much to me being a kid. This is mid 80s somewhere.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, interesting. That's cool to hear. And I'll jump in a bonus question. I'm just deviating. I don't care. The passion for the old school constellations. What was the seed for that?
Yeah, that's family driven. So my grandparents, they had constellations. Well, my grandfather had a constellation. My grandmother had a Lady Matic, which she later on traded in for a hand-wound Omega ladies watch, because the automatic movement in the Lady Matic was so small. Sometimes it just stopped because, I don't know, it didn't work that well at that point. It's not really an advertisement here, but it is what it is. So they were. I remember them wearing these gold watches. My grandfather had this constellation with this crazy gold bracelet. Originally, it came on a mesh or a Milanese gold bracelet, but the Milanese bracelet on the sides, it would damage the shirts, because at some point they became a bit sharp and so on. So it damaged all his shirts. So he traded it in for like a custom-made gold bracelet, and that's what I remember him for. And my grandmother had this very small ladies Omega watch, also with this mesh bracelet like that, but then smaller, of course. And both watches are still in the family. I have the constellation of my grandfather when he passed away. I got it from my dad with Christmas, and it's also the time that I wear it. I wear it with Christmas. I wear it on this crazy gold bracelet, and it gives a special feeling.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it?
That's the constellation for me. And when my first serious watch was in 1998, I got a constellation for my graduation, and my mom gave it to me, and she also bought one for herself, and to pair it up a bit. And interesting is that I really wanted to have that watch at that time. From mid 90s, I was getting really interested in more high-end watches, and the constellation for me was just the best out there, and I was so in love with that watch. And when I went to the school, MTS, I don't know the English trade school or something. We went in our breaks. We went to the city center. We went to retailers. I think it was Koeling or Kwekkerboom, I don't know. There in Hengelo, in Enschede. They were Omega dealer. And so I would get these brochures, the white brochures from the mid 90s with Pierce Brosnan inside and Cindy Crawford and so on. And the constellation was for me a beautiful watch with an integrated bracelet, gold steel, super nice. And I was not influenced by influencers or by Instagram or internet or whatsoever. None of that all. It was just for my own intrinsic interest.
You fancied Cindy Crawford though, with the My Choice.
Yeah, as well. And but I really love that watch. And I think now, today, if I would be 20 or 21 and interested in watches, you go online, you look up watches, you go to websites like Fratello or Hodinkee or Ace Jewelers. And then I don't think the constellation would be on my top 3 list. It would be a Speedmaster or a Seamaster. But at that time, for me, that it was the constellation, a bit driven by family, but also by its looks. And I know that it's not the most popular watch in the Omega collection, but you know this perhaps better than I do. But I love that watch, yeah.
On topic, it's only the first question. We're deviating a lot, but I think they hit the nail on the head with the new the female version, which is called Manhattan, and now I think got rid of the Manhattan part. But the new men's integrated bracelet, steel on steel, I think it's very contemporary, very now today. We see a trend of integrated bracelet watches.
Yeah, more than ever.
Dal and I had actually a discussion about that. It's beautiful, and so we said it surprisingly, and we actually said it's OG integrated bracelet. I mean, and our friend Jenta had something to do with it, right? So,
well, it's interesting. I'm not super I'm not super open about it, but I also collect a little bit of constellations. So I have a few Pipan constellations and from the 70s, but I also have that first Manhattan from 82 with box and papers and everything there. And it's so incredibly flat. It's so nice. It's very small. It's 32.5, but I wear it. I'm a tall guy. but I really it's more like a bracelet.
Yeah.
We're super nice, and the new ones is really a proper watch. It's either 39 or 41, and I think it's also 36.
Yeah.
But the new version is so nice. It's so better than the previous one. So much better because the bracelet has these facets on the sides, and the case is a bit more worked on. And it's still a bit of a thick watch, but in the end, that doesn't matter that much, I think. And it has a super nice movement. It's really, really a nice watch, and it deserves a bit more credit than it gets, basically.
I totally agree. I think the luxury problem Omega has, they have such an amazing collection and pipeline of novelties that there are not enough months in a year to do all the launches.
Yeah, you have to properly push it, and I think a perfect example is the Globemaster that I really like. It's there. I have to move that way. It's the banner with the Globemaster. I love it so much, and it was introduced in 2015. But there was so much focus on the Silver Snoopy at the time and James Bond at the time that this was a bit undersnowed. But I really like that watch, and perhaps the name Globemaster didn't do it justice. It should have been Constellation, but in the end, I think that watch is a lot of bang for the buck.
I totally agree. And the funny thing is, a funny anecdote, I thought it would attract an older target group. We sold it majority of the early millennials, so the first generation of millennials.
Mm-hmm.
They loved it. They loved the fluted bezel.
Yeah,
but it had that contemporary sleek bracelet. So that actually did very well, and I totally agree with you. I think this model is very understated and undervalued in perception, including the new Tresor de Vils that came in steel. Amazing. Yeah. Here you also get a lot of bang for.
Yeah.
Okay, we're deviating. Question 2. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Yes, I can be very short about that.
Astronaut.
Well, no, not at all. Somehow, unlike my friends in elementary school, because that's what we're talking about, I guess, when you're really a kid. My friends all want to become police officers or working for the fire brigade or doctors, if you were clever, I don't know. But I was in between, believe it or not, becoming a comic book artist or archaeologist.
Okay, cool.
I really like history. I really liked people digging in the ground, finding things, and but in the end, I became neither of those things. So yeah, that. But as a kid, I was really interested in comics, and I could draw quite well actually. Sometimes I draw for my daughter, and she really likes it, and she really.
Is your hidden name Teun?
No, but Teun is really good. I'm not near the qualities of Teun.
But here I challenge. We want to see a post with a drawing by RJ on FratelloWatches.com.
I will try. I will try to come up with a nice drawing at some point. Right. I need to have some. The problem is I'm not as artistic as Teun is or the other drawers. So often for me, when I grew up, I just draw cartoons. I read Tintin, Lucky Luke, Suske and Wiske, Bob and Bobette. So, and Disney, of course. So I tried to draw the same, but I didn't have the ideas to come up with my own character but I really enjoyed drawing a lot. And and I liked history. And sometimes later on, I had my studies in information management and information technology, and later on IT auditing. So very different areas. But often the discussion with my housemates or students was, would you choose something else if you had the choice again? And that's a stupid question because you don't have this choice. But in the end, it's nice to think about, to discuss. And often I replied, I think I would study history if I could do it all over again. Yeah.
Can I say something though? You actually are kind of doing both. You designed the watch too, third in the pipeline. So you're kind of drawing, and your comics. Here is a comic for you.
True.
So I now understand where it comes from, that passion for comics. And 2, I guess anybody who loves ancient watch brands, they're not ancient, but old watch brands, and especially if you like vintage watches or anything vintage, because
there's an interest in history. Yeah, sure.
I remember that radio you posted that your dad had at home. Remember that picture of that radio? Yeah. I saw that on Instagram. I'm like, oh, wow. And it's just that old stuff, and you want to know how it works and how cool that they made it back in it. You're kind of an archaeologist of watches. I mean, so you kind of combine...
Yeah, but it's a very creative way of bringing it all together. But as a kid, that was not my not my idea of it. But perhaps these could be ingredients for what I'm doing today. Could be, yeah.
So being a kid, and now today, who were or are your role models back then or now?
I had the questions up front, of course. And it is now, so not in the past. So I'll stick to now. I can pretend to be very cool and say Steve McQueen is my role model, but it's not. I couldn't care less, to be honest. These guys, and I see a lot of people ask Steve McQueen, James Bond is a fictional character, of course, or Paul Newman or whoever. I can imagine that might be a role model to some people, but these guys, they are always or were always in a certain role. And I don't know these people. I don't know how they are, how they have lived, how they were thinking. So to be honest, I don't give a crap about those type of role models. I couldn't care less about how they dressed, what watch they had on their wrist, what car they drove. Doesn't mean much to me, to be honest. They just did their job, and they did it in the proper way, acting in the case of Steve McQueen. And of course, he was kind of cool. But in the end, my role model is my own dad, perhaps like you, if I see your post that he's one of the smartest people I know, most genuine, honest, funny. So for me, that is super important. He's my role model. And looking at the future, if I look at role models, for me, it's super important how my daughter will remember me. So for me, it's super important to be that role model for my daughter. So I can imagine that my dad had the same, or all dads perhaps have this. That's it. So my dad is my role model.
That's the coolest role model that you can have and be.
Yeah, exactly. So
I get you.
So yeah, I'm not cool. I'm not Steve McQueen is not my role model, or James Bond or whoever. It is what it is.
Why, RJ? Because you have your style and you're you, and you do what's cool. And that's why we think you're the coolest online magazine there is, because you guys give your opinion and you don't let yourself dictated. And for those that didn't see the people behind the blog or the magazine, now you see it. No BS. What you see is what you get.
True.
And you speak your mind. And that's very Dutch as well. But that's why you're cool.
Yeah, perhaps it's we're very nuchter, we're very down to earth. I think that goes for Dutch people, and that's also how I like to run Fratello and run the show. Basically, I don't like the bullshit stories and the things, and of course I know it's attractive for a lot of people, a lot of brands, a lot of titles, but it's not how I want to be.
And you guys call bullshit in
what we do.
If you see.
Sometimes more often than we want. Some readers say we should do it more, but in the end, of course, it's business for us as well. So you have to be careful. But if we can't really do otherwise, we have to say what it is. And
good for you.
I think that is also transparent for our readers.
Yeah, good. Fourth question.
Yes.
You don't like maybe hypotheses. If you could teleport tomorrow, where would you go?
I very much miss traveling. I traveled a lot till the lockdown, March 15, I think, in the Netherlands, Sunday evening, 6 o'clock, I believe. I traveled up till that week. The last trip was to Bulgaria in Switzerland. And every other week I traveled from this year. And last year was super crazy. So I miss traveling. I miss it a lot. My Rimowa suitcases feel very lonely. But I have to say, I slowly start to travel again. Since early July, back and forth to Switzerland, basically. I've been to France to meet Grand Seiko Europe, which is headquartered in France, or the new boutique. But if I can teleport tomorrow, it would either be the USA with my wife and daughter for a holiday. I really want to show the US to my daughter, go to Disney, go to Universal. I think she would love it, and I love it as well to be there. as a for holidays, but also for business, or Japan. I was there last October. I've been there 3 times now. Last October, I was there for a Speedy Tuesday event, and we had to abort our mission. It was after the Speedy Tuesday event, but we added some days there for holiday, basically, my wife and I, because of the typhoon. So we had to abort it by a few days, but I really, really would love to go back. Cool. Awesome country and awesome people, and just amazing to be there.
Yeah, I agree. I've been there once, and I totally agree with you. Okay, thank you for sharing. 5th question is, what book are you currently reading?
I am now reading a book. I just started, so don't give me any difficult questions. It's called Contagious.
Okay.
And the book is about why certain things catch on and why certain things don't.
You're not talking about COVID, right?
No. No. It's about, and perhaps they should have used Speedy Tuesday as an example in the book.
Yeah.
But for me, it's very interesting to learn about why certain things are hyped, why certain things work, why other things don't, and they miss. And a lot of times, from what I read now, it's about luck, but also about doing things very clever and building up tension and coming with out-of-the-box ideas. So very, very interesting. Exactly that one. But I have to say, it's one of the first books that I read about. For me, this is, of course, also a business part, so I want to learn from it. Normally, I read a lot of biographies, and the last one that I finished was about Johan Cruyff.
Yeah.
I have nothing with soccer or football, absolutely nothing. I played soccer when I was 7 years old. It was a disaster. After 3 weeks, my dad took me off the soccer club. No good. But for me, it's very interesting. These biographies are for me very interesting. They are easy to digest. So when I'm in the plane or just before I go to sleep, I can read a few pages. Very easy. But it also gives me an insight in how these often very successful people, like Johan Cruyff, take their decisions and what these decisions lead to eventually. And that's, for me, it's interesting to see their path during their lives, what they did and how they did it, and if it was successful or not is not super important, but for me, it's just interesting to see how it works.
Cool. I want to ask you a question in context to the first book, the Contagious book. I think we can conclude that Speedy Tuesday, which you created, and I want to ask you later how you came up with that idea, but I'll jump into it. I'll jump forward. Why do you think that it caught on that well?
There's a question I often ask myself, and I see a lot of people or even brands trying to do the same. Mm-hmm. And after we went on with Speedy Tuesday and we had our first launch with the first watch you're wearing, other brands contacted us and they said, can we do X brand Thursday or X brand Friday? And I said no. And I replied, because it's not genuine. We collect Speedmasters, we write about Speedmasters, we live Speedmasters. If it would not feel authentic if we do it with your brand or another brand. So I think authenticity is really important in this case. But of course, the model itself also helps because it's really a proper designed watch model. It has been there for over 60 years. There's a lot of variation. It's a very sympathetic brand or watch, basically. It's collectors like it. There's always a story to it. If I see someone outside on the streets wearing a Rolex Submariner, I don't even try to ask about his or her watch. But if someone is wearing a Speedmaster, I go up there and ask about it because I know there's a story to it. Nobody ever bought a Speedmaster because they just saw it in the displays and thought it was a nice watch. There's always a specific reason. And that's to me makes it super interesting. And I think that's also the power a bit of Speedy Tuesday, that it's super emotional. It's an emotional watch. It has often stories attached to it, be it a space story, but also a family related, or I don't know. It's I think so. That's very important, that there is emotion attached to it. And I think Speedy Tuesday sounds really good.
Since we're on the topic and we're doing nothing by the book anymore, and the format of the show, why don't you please share how you came up with the idea?
It's too simple almost too simple to believe. But I was on a holiday in France in 2012, in south of France, and with friends. We went there for 2 weeks. First week with friends, and the second week they left, and my wife and I decided to have an extra week in a nice hotel in Cannes. And there on a Tuesday, I took a picture of my Speedmaster on the wrist, and I took a picture and I put it on Facebook, actually. There was this watch group called Wrist Shots or something, and it stopped and started again. I don't know if it's still alive. And I put it on there, and it said Speedy Tuesday, basically because the Speedmaster, we shortened it to Speedy, and a Tuesday because it was a Tuesday, and that was it. And then as soon as I published it, I realized it is a super nice working title. So I used it to create content on Fratello Watches, to write stories about the Speedmaster, interview collectors and ask collectors about their Speedmasters, and put it on Fratello Watches. And in the beginning, it was just once every few weeks or every other week. And at some point, we started to do it every single Tuesday because it really hit on. And I think at some point, and I don't know if that was 2012 already or 2013, we started to use the hashtag on Instagram as well. And then it really took off because people had a label. And that's how I see it. I don't see Speedy Tuesday per definition as the community, but it's a very easy to use tag that you can follow or search for on Instagram to find like-minded people, to find cool Speedmaster pictures or Speedmaster collectors. It's just a very cool label to use for everything Speedmaster.
Yeah. And am I correct to say that this watch is the first ever watch to be produced with a hashtag on it? So Reinhard Aschliman, I think, is one of the best watch CEOs out there. Great guy, real Omega guy. He has Omega running through his veins, and genuine watch fanatic. He got on the bandwagon, right?
Yes. I met him, I think, in Sochi or in Gran Montana, where there were both Omega events. And he was not CEO yet, but I met him later on in 2015 during the introduction of the Globemaster, and he approached me and he said, "What do you think of the new Globemaster?" And I said to him, "I like it very much, but that was also the year of the Snoopy." He said, "But I really want to have a Snoopy." So that's where we kind of start to communicate with each other. And then when he became CEO in 2016, he said, "Yeah, we are following you and we see what Speedy Tuesday does and what it is." And he said, "I really like it, and it's genuine. It attracts a lot of people who collect Speedmasters who have Omega running through their veins, like you just said. And how can we collaborate together? How can we do something together?" And that's when I said, well, and I think I literally said that we can do a T-shirt or a pin or a pen or a cap, but why not do a watch together? Why not create a watch, especially for the Speedy Tuesday community, designed by fanatics of the Speedmaster for other fanatics of the Speedmaster? And that's when he said, okay, let's sit together and come up with something and come up with a proposal, and we take it from there. And that's how it went down. And
it's amazing. He asked you a question. He didn't tell you what to do. I think that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that we just found the answer to what I asked you in context of the book Contagious, is what you said. It's a watch for Speedmaster lovers, made by Speedmaster lovers, facilitated by the brand. I think it's authentic. It's an authentic story. And I think you're being very modest that it's not a community, but in the end, I think it is a community, right? And it's slowly becoming larger than life because it's basically a second brand you're running.
Yeah, correct. That's true. Sometimes that also works a bit against us, but in the end, this is really what I love and so I don't care. But yeah, it is. And he just asked us the question, and we came up with the Speedy Tuesday one, which was a super interesting project because I knew nothing about producing a watch. Well, from Fratello Watches, of course, I've been to manufacturers and so on, but being really part of the process from design to delivery and after sales service, that is something else.
That's
so
amazing.
It was
for all of us.
really interesting to have these insights. And now I also understand watch brands much, much better than I ever did before, because I know what it takes. And they were so passionate, all involved at Omega for creating these two watches were so passionate. When we created the watch and there were some issues sometimes with a dial or a hand or a case, and I don't know what, these things happen in production. It is what happens. So the subdials didn't loom enough, or I don't know what. And it's all terrible, because if I spend that much money on a watch and it's not 100% correct, I also get pissed off, and I also get angry, and I vent my opinion. But now I saw it from the other side, and I saw how truly passionate these people are about watches from the brand side, that sometimes it hurt me, actually, that some people said, oh, what a lousy job, because one of the subdials doesn't loom enough or whatever. And it's, oh, you just should realize or know how much effort they put into this, and how much they care, actually. And I saw really, and perhaps I should not say this, but I saw Reynald Ashliman himself reaching out to buyers of this watch to help them with a certain issue, or make it his own responsibility to have things fixed. And I think,
why didn't you say that?
I don't know, because I'm not Omega. I don't want to be a spokesperson of Omega. So
You're not a spokesperson. You're just sharing your passion and experiences, and that's what makes him such a good guy. He's really...
and I think he's really one of the best, or perhaps the best. I think he's the best CEO in the watch industry. I don't know all of them, but I think he's the best. And it's also because he's so responsible for what he does, and he's so involved and passionate about these things, and very much involved with the whole Speedy Tuesday thing. That super important.
I concur. I also work with him directly, and he invited me to do the Grand Ambassador. So I spent the whole week in Bienne at HQ.
Yeah.
He's hands-on, and I've been to all the departments, and the passion is there. And because it's such an old and big company, it's difficult to radiate that passion to the outskirts of the world.
Yeah.
But I totally agree with you. Listen, we're running out of time.
We have a question left.
Yeah, we have questions left. We have the questions of viewers are accumulating. We aim to do 45, max 1 hour. We really got to cap it. I'm going quickly to question 6. What do you think is going to be the killer color of 2021?
Well, it could be same as the killer of 2021, but that's it. I don't have a crystal ball, but I think we have colors to stay, like blue and green. They have been very popular, and I also think that they have a place, their own rightful place to stick there forever, because they can be quite timeless. Mm-hmm. We also had colors that belong to a certain era, like brown. We saw in recent years brown. It's a bit going away again. Pink. We saw long time ago salmon dials, like the Royal Oak. We saw some other pink dials. I see a lot of pastel colors now, like we see with the Oyster Perpetual from Rolex, for example. I saw Oris doing a few pastel colors. But that doesn't work for me personally, I have to say. It's a bit too soft. I would like to see more red. Mm-hmm. And you will see more red. And that's the only thing I can say for now.
Omega red.
You will see more red.
Okay, cool. Last question. Rhetorical question. Obviously, you've been to Amsterdam because you visited us. What's your favorite memory besides visiting Ace?
Besides visiting Ace? I have to. I wrote something down here.
Dude,
of course,
memory.
Well, Amsterdam is. I am very often in Amsterdam, mainly for work, mainly for watches. It's either for you or for brands that have their headquarters there, or the local branch office in Amsterdam, or a PR office. A lot of PR offices from brands are also in Amsterdam. But I also went to university in Amsterdam for my postgraduate degree from 2006 to 2008. I also had a girlfriend there way back when I was still a student, around 2000, so 20 years ago. But my fondest memory of Amsterdam was around that same time. I worked for a publishing house in Amsterdam. And I really, really enjoyed it. It was giving me insights in the publishing business, but it was, of course, a bit of an IT-related job. But yeah, I really enjoyed working there. It was a very nice atmosphere. And yeah.
Funny, I didn't know that. So cool. I learned something
Was I don't think it exists anymore under that name, but it was Elsevier.
Yeah. Well, famous name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So under 15 minutes left. Questions are coming in. I wanted to ask you what you did before Fratello. We'll skip that. They probably can read that on the website.
Yeah.
Maybe just quickly, what sparked you to set up Fratello? Because you had a job, you did it part-time, it became so big, you basically had to quit, right?
Yeah, I had to quit.
What were you doing? And
my last job, my real job, when I quit was in banking. I was a manager for an IT department in banking, in the banking industry. I had nothing with banking, no interest whatsoever. But that was a nice job. I was being promoted to vice president, so I was doing quite well, and it was very nice, but it was also boring. And I thought by myself, I was 36 or 35 when I quit that job. I thought I can always return to this and be under office lights, artificial lights forever. But I also want to explore this whole watch thing. Fratello was taking off. I had this other business in big data on watch consumers. I don't know if you remember, together with Chrono24, and we had some Google data. Yeah, Chronolytics. And so that gave me the opportunity to become full-time occupied in the watch industry, and I had to grab that chance. Otherwise, I was very afraid to regret that. And I started Fratello in 2004 as a hobby project, as a blog. I think it was one of the first blogs about watches, actually. I installed WordPress 1.0, and I just started blogging about watches. Before I was active on Time Zone, What You Seek, and so on. And I was very interesting, but I noticed I saw the same questions coming over and over again, and I just wanted to share and to write about watches. I want to be more in the writing chair. And so I just started Fratello from there by myself, and later on other people joined. And
yeah, we've been fans ever since the beginning, and I'm proud to say we were the first authorized dealer to ever advertise.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yeah.
Cool. That was fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so let's dive into the viewers. They've been anxiously waiting, listening to us. Wouter Teger on Facebook writes, 2 Dutch legends. Thank you, sir. Takes one to recognize one. Watch for Rocky on YouTube is asking, RJ, what's your all-time favorite Omega and why? Good question, Rocky.
Yeah, super difficult as well. It depends a bit. If I look at primarily the models, I would say it's my it's a tie between my Caliber 321 and the new one, because I think it's super well done. And Moonshine Gold version. Apollo 11. I think I love the Speedy Tuesday 1. I love the Speedy Tuesday 2. And they really have a place in my heart because I was involved and I could not be more proud. But if I look primarily at the watches, I would say the Moonshine is an awesome watch. Because it's so close to the original. It respects the original, yet it has a lot of modern technologies. It has a lot of things that Omega stands for today. So I really love that watch, and I always try to get to number 13 if we are speaking limited editions. And only later on I learned that from the original 69 gold model that astronaut Tom Stafford also had number 13, and he's my favorite Apollo astronaut. So that was a nice coincidence.
And why 13?
Well, my birthday is on the 13th, so that's very easy.
Yeah.
But later on, when I started to collect number 13s, my daughter was born in 2013, so she's very lucky as well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Right, I hope that answers the question, Rocky. Another one from Rocky, off the record. How many Tintins are made exactly?
I know the number, but I can't share.
Okay, Rocky, you need to...
I know it more or less a bit by accident, so I can't share this. But it's... I see some predictions on the omegaforums.net, and it's very close. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Jan Binnendijk on Facebook asks, nice that they mentioned Teun van Herenbeek as well. I've worked with him on the Pilot 1 project, and I've bought his book.
Yeah, but that project was a bit before my time that I met Teun. I met Teun a few years ago, and he started to do his comics on Fratello, and that really took off for him. So he has a very nice running a little business there with his comics. But I also saw that it's time to do something else, and he didn't aspire to write, basically only to draw. So we parted, but in a good way, and I think he does a really magnificent job in his drawings and comics.
You were the in-house comic, right, for Fratello, basically?
Yeah.
You get guys getting on podium.
I have his book as well, and he had a good podium on Fratello, and he makes a nice business, and he's a really nice guy. He's very decent. He's very genuine, and all the best of luck with his endeavors. I think he has some nice ideas for the future as well. So keep an eye on.
And he has cool stickers, by the way. I stuck them on my MacBook. So
yeah, I have them on my MacBook, on my trusty Rimowa suitcases, and super nice guy.
Yeah, they're fun. Thank you. Sure. Our buddy, our G-Shock buddy, go to Japan. My next trip has been canceled 2 times. I'm sad to hear, Shorsh. We love you. He's the king of G-Shock guys.
Yes.
I believe his blog is called 50 Gs, if I'm not mistaken. This guy is legendary. Yeah. And his beers are good as well.
And we did a really nice interview with him on Fratello many years ago about G-Shock.
Okay, cool. Make sure to check that out. What should they Google on? Shorsh or
Shorsh or G-Shock, you'll find him. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Another Watch 4 crew member, Melvin. He's asking on YouTube, obviously the Speedmaster is an iconic timepiece. What do you personally think is the best strap/bracelet material for such an iconic piece? Steel, gold, leather, NATO, or ... and why?
He misses a very important one when it comes to Speedmasters, and that's a Velcro strap. I get NATO straps, but I really want to. I don't wear NATO straps myself, I have to admit, because I just don't like how they sit on my wrist. But if you go that way, I think Velcro is the only way, because it's very much NATO or NASA-like. But I like the stainless steel bracelets, and especially of this one. It's such an amazing job. Again, it's beautiful, and I don't like the current Speedmaster Professional bracelet that much, with the polished 2 little links in there. It's a comfortable bracelet. The quality is good, like the poster behind you, Alon. But I just don't see it that much fit to the Speedmaster. I like the older ones, but I also have to say I really like the new ones. I also really like the one that's on the Moonshine Gold one. It tapers to 14 millimeters, which is really small, but it's awesome. It's really awesome. Yeah.
I don't want to sound like a douchebag and a salesperson, because this interview is not about that. We're 2 watch freaks just talking. But that's why I have multiple Speedmasters. I don't like the hassle of changing straps all the time. So I put different ones.
That's a very expensive solution there.
I have a leather strap, steel bracelet, depends on the temperature, climate, etc. I think it's very subjective, and that's the beauty. And Omega jumped on the bandwagon by actually offering a customization tool on their website, so you can see the watch head on the different straps. So I think that's amazing.
Yeah, and I think it was very clever from them. I think starting in 2014 to add a NATO and a Velcro or Velcro to the standard watch package.
So if you buy the Moonwatch box, you get a gigantic box. There's always 2 extra straps in there: a NATO strap and a Velcro strap.
Exactly. Very clever move. Very nice.
Oh, Bart Tans, our friend from Belgium.
Hello, Bart.
Thank you for joining us. Great interview, guys. Nice to see you again. He writes on Facebook. Thank you.
Bart is a great guy. I know. I think I sold a Speedmaster to him at some point. I had I think a Mark II or Mark IV, and I sold it to him. And he also attended a few of our Speedy Tuesday get-togethers. Super nice guy, collector.
And he has 321s and Lemanias in different watches than Omegas.
Yeah, he collects. He has a nice collection. Yeah.
Check him out. Shorsh, thank you, guys. Then we have our friend Olaf Luchten, writes on Facebook. Good break and nice to listen to during work. Thanks, guys. I prefer leather.
Of course.
We know you have a leather fetish. Olaf is the strap, guys. Google him. Dutch handmade straps. He makes, and not only leather, guys. He also makes old mail bags. You can bring him your old Louis Vuitton bag and he'll make a watch strap for you. So
nice.
We actually made some Ace limited edition straps with him. I'm talking faster and faster because we're running out of time. We have loads of questions. I think we need to do a second session, RJ, but we got this question 10 times. You answered this already.
Yep.
Another one. These were asked before the show. This is an interesting one. How do I, as a young girl with a great interest in watches, get recognized in the business? And this is Yapka. I think you should Google on Instagram, seek her on Instagram. I think her handle, if I remember correctly by heart, is Yapka_watchgirl.
Okay. What I can try to answer this. We have a lady on board, Fratello, two actually. One is a bit more low key these days, but she's still on. And we have Karina. Karina is from Poland, and she, besides writing for Fratello, she also runs the Omega Ladies Club, where she's a huge Omega fan, where she promotes the watches that she likes, and she likes to put girls in the spotlight wearing an Omega. One of my close friends, she also has a moon watch, and she was featured on there as well. My wife has been on there. My stepsister recently bought a Omega. She probably will be featured there. So she really likes to put ladies with watches, Omega watches in this case, in the spotlight. The other writer we have on board is Sky Sid. She really made her profession out of watches. She worked for different brands, Linde Werdelin, but also some Richemont brands. And she has her own business in independent watches. Yeah.
So maybe Yapka, reach out to her. We love youngsters who love watches. We try to give them a platform, internship, come work with us, weekends. And right for us, we also have our ACE online magazine. We have a dedicated Nomos blog, which is minimatical.com. Yapka loves Nomos. So we invited her to be a guest writer. So she's working on that right now. If we loan her a Speedmaster, would she be featured, RJ, on your platform?
100%.
Or does she need to own it?
Yes.
Well, her dad has enough Speedmasters, by the way. She can loan her dad's.
She will get featured.
Cool. All right. Awesome. Listen, I have loads.
Yeah, go on. I have time, and I know I got some messages from your colleague Dale that we have some time. So.
Yeah. Okay, because we're very practical. We don't want to lose viewers, and if we pass the 1 hour, we can't upload it to Instagram stories, so we need to cut it up. Dale, yep. I'm looking at you. Are we continuing? Dale is saying yes. Okay, we're going. Let me see. All right, this is a long one. He calls it a joke question.
Okay.
This is Mike. It's been almost 2 months since the 321 in stainless steel picked you up. Okay, I think you picked him up, but he picked you up, which is true. Well, you're infatuated. How has it been wearing you so far? Is it satisfied with you? And what is its name? Okay.
So it doesn't have a name. If I have to put a name to it, it's Gene Cernan, because that was the piece that Omega used to do the tomography of the movement. So although the name of the 10503 is Ed White, I would say it's Gene Cernan. And I think the 321 really loves me. Since it picked me up 2 months ago in Switzerland, it's really in love with me. Look, it touches me. It's in my pockets. It's it's all over. It's all over me.
It has you in its pocket.
Yeah.
Now, on a serious note, how does it compare to a vintage 321?
I have a vintage 321, but I don't have a 105.003. Yeah. So I can't compare here side by side. I have a 145.012 at home, but it's a bit heavier because of the sapphire, of course. Mm-hmm. Because of the bracelet. The bracelet is very thin on the new one, but still it's a bit thicker and solid than the old one.
Right.
But as my colleague Mike Stockton always says, the action on the pushers, it's it's the same. I mean, the pushers are the same. The crown is the same. The bezel is ceramic, so not aluminum. So that's a different thing. It has a sapphire crystal, but it does have the little Omega logo in the center, like the Hasselite crystals. So that's a very nice feature. But a lot of people, when I post it, and a lot of people who are not that much into Speedmasters, they say, "Oh, where did you get the bracelet? It looks like new." Yeah, because it is new. So not everyone is that is not so deep into watches is aware that it is a new version, actually. So it really, really comes close in look and feel to the original one. But if you have them both in your hands, you will see that the new one is a little bit heavier, but not by much. Yeah.
No, which is good though. Gives it more sturdy.
All these things are, of course, marginal. It's
Yeah. 2 questions. I asked earlier, why Ed White nickname?
Yeah.
Rhetorical question, but please share with the viewers.
Yeah. So the Speedmaster 105003 was basically the watch that NASA received from Omega. Still a lot of, I'm surprised, but still a lot of people think that Omega just went to a local retailer in Houston, asked for some watches. That's of course not the case. It's NASA. They're a professional organization, so they have to do a tender. So they wrote a number of watch brands, and only a few responded. And among them was Omega, and they sent a 105003. And that watch was tested and qualified by NASA, not certified. That's a different thing. NASA does not certify watches. They qualified the watch for manned space missions. And the 105003 was the one that was qualified. Only later on, and meanwhile, they started developing the 105012 and 145012, the later references. And they were in the end sent to NASA as well for proper use in space. But the 105003 was also used. And the proof is that Gene Cernan, the last man on the moon, was actually wearing his 105003. So there were 3 references used at the time to on the moon, basically, by these Apollo astronauts. Well, Ed White, unfortunately, he died in the accident with Apollo 1, so he never went to the moon. But during his mission in 1965, the Gemini 4 mission, he was the first NASA astronaut to do a spacewalk, and he was wearing 2 Speedmasters, 105003 references. So that's basically why it got the nickname Ed White, because he put them out there in space.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And that you give me a bridge now to the FOIS, first Omega in space.
Yes.
I think it's an undervalued watch. It's I appreciate it. I have one. I love it. Big difference is besides the hands, no crown guards. Linking this story to the 321, and price-wise, people ask us, but I'll let you. It's a why it's so steep in price, and I call FOIS the baby Ed White. So have a look at that. 2, we have a huge waiting list already for the 321 that you're wearing right now. So the Ed White. Unfortunately, due to COVID, it got delayed even more. But explain, please, our viewers, why there is such a huge waiting list. It's not a marketing stunt. Caliber 321 has a different atelier, right? A different workshop within Omega.
So Omega, you have to understand that Omega, as I said earlier, they produce like 700 or 750,000 watches per year. So it's really mass production. They can't do this by hand. So it's all industrialized. It's a lot of things are automated, like all the big brands do. But for this watch, they make an exception. Also, like they do for the Tourbillon watches, they have a special atelier or workshop for Tourbillon watches, and they have been doing this for a long time. And the Tourbillon workshop, I think next to the Tourbillon workshop actually is the Caliber 321 workshop. So they have a special atelier for the Caliber 321. They get the movement parts in Biel in this workshop. They get watch parts in this atelier in Biel, and it's one watchmaker. So they don't have one watchmaker in the atelier. They have one watchmaker does one watch. So in this atelier are a number of watchmakers, and these watchmakers are responsible for one watch each. So
from A to Z.
Yeah. Yeah, so they put together the movement, they put it in the watch, the hands, the dial, bracelet, and so on and so on. It's all done in this atelier by one watchmaker per watch. And
whereas it's serial production usually. So
exactly. Normally it goes. It's very industrialized. If you have never seen it, we did a factory report. You can't really take pictures inside, but we have some press pictures that they were willing to share, where you can see that they have this huge like a jukebox where there's parts picking going on, and all these parts they come together, and the watch with all its parts goes from workstation to workstation in the manufacturer.
Right?
Yes, exactly. Where watchmakers do a few steps per watch basically. So that's very different from the Tourbillon workshop and the Caliber 321 workshop, where one watchmaker really does one watch. There's actually watchmakers like in the pictures with screwdrivers and so on responsible for this one piece. And I think, of course, that makes it expensive, but it also makes it taking it a long time to produce a watch like this. And that also explains the price. It's not a cheap watch. It also hurts me, but I think it's well worth it. I've seen the workshop. I've been there. I saw a little sneak preview before its release, and I was really, really impressed. And even putting this watch on, it's really something else. It's really a beautiful piece of.
And putting it in that daylight, I say you have to compare it with the top of the top. And then it's relatively low in price. So it's all relative, in my humble opinion.
Yeah,
I think the regular moon watch is already very fairly priced.
I agree.
For the Lemania caliber that you get, the box you get, the extra straps. But also, you shouldn't compare these two watches. And that's what you're basically saying, right?
Yeah, you see a lot of people, they say, but you have the first Omega in space that you just pointed out. That has a different, I didn't see the price, but I think it's below 5,000 euros. Between
4,000 euros less. I believe it's 4,600, if I'm not mistaken. Whereas this one is 4,700 in Europe.
Yeah, so the first Omega in space is, I think it's a super bargain. But often people compare the first Omega in space to the new Caliber 321, but the production process is really, really different. It's a different watch. It's a different movement. It's a totally different thing. I think you have to compare the Caliber 321 with watches from brands that use similar movements or similar ways of producing watches, like a Blancpain or perhaps even a Breguet, and or a Glasuite Original. I mean, it's very, very much watchmaking that's going on here.
Horlogerie?
I would say so, yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. And sometimes it's very difficult to explain because it's very old movement, and you pay 13,300 euros, and the movement is not even master chronometer or chronometer certified, and so on and so on. But I think this watch is aimed for a collector that really appreciates this Caliber 321 movement, that appreciates this way of watchmaking. And if you prefer innovative watchmaking with the latest technology, I think the Apollo 8 is more something for you, or the dark side, or any dark side of the moon is more something for you that has these in-house manufacture movements that are master chronometer certified, using ceramics and so on and so on. I think this is just a different type of watch and different type of product.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe I don't want to compare because every brand is on its own, but maybe another brand that was struggling with explaining that quality difference is maybe Seiko and Grand Seiko. I know you love that brand. You've been to their manufacturer.
Yeah.
Could we use that metaphor, that parallel?
I don't know, because I don't see a lot of Omegas being produced in the Seiko way. I see it more as in the Grand Seiko way. But I also have to say, with Grand Seiko, it is a bit more like the Caliber 321. And Grand Seiko is very, very small production. You have to understand the production is they are not very open about it, but it's definitely well below 50,000 watches per year. So it's not that much. And there's watchmakers polishing cases by hand. There's hand polishing the hour markers, applying all these things by hand onto the dial. There's a lot of manual tasks being done by skilled craftsmen at Grand Seiko. And to me, it's a totally different topic than Omega and Speedmasters. But to me, I can't see that. I have one, the Grand Seiko Mount Iwate, with the GMT and the 44 GS style case. I just cannot see how they can do it for that price, to be honest. Because if I look at the finishing of I'm not talking about the movement, because I think that's more in line with other larger, bigger brands out there. But if I look at the finishing of the dial and the hands and the hour markers, it doesn't. Yeah, I don't think it's worse than Vacheron Constantin or AP. So it's really on high level.
Macro photography that Bert does of the hands, the side.
It's amazing. Super razor sharp. Where other brands say, okay, if everything is okay on a 20 centimeter or 30 centimeter distance from the naked eye, it's okay for us. Yeah. But if you put a Grand Seiko under a loop or a macro lens, it's still razor sharp. Unbelievable how they can do this for that price. I also have to say that we now also see Grand Seiko increasing in price and going more to that Jaeger LeCoultre level, for example. And perhaps the bargain is then a bit off, but it's still really a lot of quality. By coincidence, not by coincidence, but I always carry a few watches with me. I have it here.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's stunning, and there is second to none polishing wise. What I meant, though,
it's beautifully done.
Is Omega, and the 321 is Seiko. I meant that because it's such a broad spectrum in storytelling of brand identity.
Yeah, true.
How do you explain that difference in quality? Because only last year Grand Seiko became a separate brand, right?
Yeah, I think earlier on, 2018, perhaps.
Yeah, in Europe.
Yeah, they separated it, and this year the Grand Seiko got a special European headquarters as well, led by Frédéric Bondou, very nice guy and formerly a Swatch Group person. It's really good. And I have to say, and I also was very transparent to Grand Seiko and Seiko about it in the past, that I think they should pound themselves a bit more on the chest about what they do and what they can do. But I also feel that they have to look a bit more on what the European customer and the American customer wants, because some of their models and designs are still very much a bit metallic and perhaps more towards Asian taste than European or American taste.
Yeah, I agree.
But they do a marvelous job, I have to say. I respect Grand Seiko a lot, but in the end, it's also a bit of a nerd watch, because you only see this level of detail and appreciate it when you look at it under a loop and are really much into watches. I think the average Joe sees it, he just reads Seiko, and that's it. And you really have to do a lot of explaining there. But I think this watch in the future will be more and more appreciated by a wider audience.
Yeah. And that point that you just made is, I think that a lot of people just see Omega Speedmaster, but basically 321 is almost a brand on its own. So that's something you should take into mind. So long answer to a joke question by Mike, but Mike also posted a more serious one where he wrote, it's not only serious, but also political in brackets.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us more about how you collaborate with Omega for the Speedy Tuesday 1 and 2?
Yeah.
The process involved, how your input was considered and refined into the final production. His answer is that long that he wrote here, this is the second part. Would you ever write a full feature-length article or magazine about this without breaking your NDA, of course?
Well, you know what? I already wrote this on Fratello somewhere, I think, and I wrote it on Omega forums at some point. But the funny thing is, there's no NDA. We never signed anything. For such a huge project, actually 2 projects, we didn't sign a thing. It's a gentleman's agreement. Omega trusts us, we trust Omega, and I don't want to. That's why I said I don't want to be the spokesperson of Omega, and because I don't know how political things are, because I see more than I can say or write. That's for sure. But I also see that with other brands. If there's an embargo, we respect it. And sometimes I treat these things also a bit as an embargo, because I don't know if I can say these things. These brands, they have communication departments, they have PR people involved, and they are very cautious in what's being communicated and whatnot. And I don't want to be the person that just says anything of what I see that's going on in these companies. That said, in very short, I wrote it in the past, but very short, we were a very serious partner in the whole design process of the Speedy Tuesday 1 and 2. We saw every step. We were taken by the hand in every step. We came with a design, with a proposal. They respected it. We went back and forth like a bit of ping pong. And in the end, for us, most important was we didn't want to make concessions. We didn't want to have a sapphire crystal because collectors want Hasselite, right? I mean, that's the Speedmaster person wants Hasselite. We didn't want a ceramic bezel because you want the aluminum bezel, right? Omega also chipped in a lot of things, a lot of detail. They have a very, very good head of product development, Gregory Kisling. He puts a lot of time and effort into getting the details right, and it was really a joy to work with him because he really respected the heritage of Omega. And if we said, but the old models, they have this and this feature, and then he said, I will look into it, and he really took it seriously and came back with these kind of design elements. So it was really a close collaboration, and it was not something that we said, oh, yeah, we want to do a watch, and Omega, a few months later, they came with a proposal. No, it was really a joint project.
Yeah, amazing. That's amazing to hear. And I think that also says a lot that you didn't sign an NDA. That's the old school way of doing business in our industry. A man is a man, a word is a word, and a handshake is a handshake. And Reynolds still lives by that. So that's amazing. Okay, Mike, I hope your joking and serious questions were answered. I'm looking through all the comments. Bart replied, yes, it was a Mark IV. Okay, cool.
With papers, I remember.
Yeah. Olaf is happy. Ben Hodges says, got this. And he sent another one. Ben writes on YouTube, 321, best release of 2020, question mark? RJ says enough.
Here's my answer. I'm a Speedmaster collector, so that's I really love it. There's a lot of other watches that are super interesting. I like a lot of watches, but this is what I purchased and what I really love. And I think it's one of the best releases. And it also hurt a bit, I have to say. And this, I can take this platform a bit from you. I'm an Academy member for the Grand Prix Horlogerie Genève. I cannot nominate a Speedmaster.
Why is that? I didn't find it either when I'm also a member. I couldn't vote. Why? I saw one in there.
I looked it up in the rules, and we had to select watches that we want to have nominated. And now in the second round, you have to vote for the nominees. You have to make this voting round. So I selected in the first round. I select the Speedmaster Caliber 321.
So did I.
As iconic chronograph or iconic watch. But I didn't see Omega anywhere. In fact, I didn't see any Swatch Group brand that I could vote on as a nominated watch.
No Jacket Draw for ladies?
I don't think so. And I looked it up on the website from the Grand Prix, and it said when a watch is selected, the watch brand needs to pay 500 Swiss francs to be in there. And when a watch is nominated, the watch brand needs to pay 5,500 Swiss francs. So only the brands that pay have watches that can be nominated. Yes. So this was officially my last year as an Academy member because I don't believe in this model.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. I mean,
journalist investigation. So thank you for sharing.
They are very I have to say it's also my own fault because they are very transparent about it on their website if you look it up. But I didn't investigate before. So this is it's a fine way of doing things, and in the end it's advertising. So if a brand wins, they spend a bit of money and they get a lot of buzz and hype, and but it's also like in the design world, all these prizes are paid for by the same industry, and that's something I don't really believe in. And I didn't find the watches that I found interesting this year that I could nominate.
Yeah.
It's a pity, but I guess in the end it works like that. But in the end, it's an advertisement. It's advertising game, and I rather have them advertise with Fratello than with them.
But when people advertise and you write an advertorial, you list that it's advertorial.
It's clearly marked as advertorial, and a brand never has a say in any editorial article that we publish. Never.
Yeah. All right.
And they can be angry with us, and then that's fine. But in the end, they also respect it, because authenticity is really, really important.
I agree. On that topic, we've discussed retail for many years. Retailers need to become media companies. Media companies are becoming retailers. Everything is converging. Mm-hmm. You guys held out a long time. The Speedy watches were never sold through you guys.
Nope.
You didn't want that.
Nope.
I think you guys are the last to join the dance, the ball. What made you decide to start selling watches, RJ?
It's easy. I like your business. I like what you do. Retailer, having a shop, selling things. But it's very new to me, so I have to learn. I'm learning at this moment. Why we do so. I also believe it's not. It doesn't really has to conflict. We are picking the watches that we want to sell that we think fits our reader and fit us. We really select the watches carefully that we want to have in our e-com shop. That also explains why we take it slow and we only have a few things. More will follow later on. And on the other hand, I also want to be transparent about this. It's also a way of making business. We have to make a living. Advertising money is interesting, but it's also a very expensive operation that we run.
Yeah.
And I think for us, it's also a way to monetize. And but we want to monetize in a decent way by offering watches that are close to what we like and who we are, and watches that we would basically wear ourselves or are wearing ourselves. And if we keep that in mind, I think it's very properly done. And I don't see, and we keep it separated. So we have a little organization. As I said, Fratello is becoming a business, and we have a guy called Daniel Muller. He's in charge of everything operation. So we also keep it a bit divided. He doesn't butt in with our content, and I don't butt in with him with his operational stuff.
I guess that's the biggest fear for journalists to become.
I have to say that the only people who question me about these things, if it's all still relevant and so on, are journalists. On the other hand, it's the same journalists that question us that are jury members and academy members of this Grand Prix. So in the end, you have to make money. You have to pay for your groceries. And I think you just have to make sure that it's in a decent way and that it shows integrity. And for me, it's super important to show that integrity.
Yeah. And you guys started first with pre-owned Speedies, which was a natural fit that weren't on the market anymore.
Yeah.
Then you guys made limited editions. Makes sense because you add value.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You did a Freddy Constant one, which was cool.
Yeah.
Help me out here. You guys did a Marvin watch back in the day, I remember.
Yeah, our first watch together was a Marvin watch, but it was many, many years ago.
I remember that.
But we started with this Frederic Constant actually, and it's a very cool watch. It's what attracted me. I was enthusiastic from the moment they proposed it. I like the dial color a lot, and I like a moon face. That for me is a super nice. Besides chronograph, a moon face is a very emotional complication for me. It's completely useless, but I really love the moon, and I love watching the moon in the evening or at night. When my daughter is still up in the evening, and she gets all excited because when she sees the moon, it's something that is like mind blowing that you can see this other thing in the sky. So a moon face is for me a super interesting complication, and I just like the looks of the watch. I like the people from Frederic Constant a lot. And I think the price is really spot on. I think the price is really good for a manufacturer watch. But also it's a niche watch. It's a niche thing. For us, it was a bit of a pilot. We tried with Friedrich Constant. Then we came with the pre-owned Speedmasters. I think we have one left, which is the Gemini 4, the blue one. Super nice. It's quite hefty on the price, but it's really new, old stock. It's an amazing watch, and
You guys own it, or is it commissioned?
No, we purchase everything. We don't do commission.
Yeah, so you really are a retailer. By the way, I want to say two things about the Frederik Constant one. One, I think Niels Eggeding is also an amazing watch CEO, not because he's Dutch, but I think he's a down-to-earth guy, stand-up guy, does a great job. So shout out to him. And two, I totally do not agree with you that moon phases are irrelevant or nonsense, because those people that have a religion that follows a lunar cycle, it's very relevant for them.
Oh, of course, but it's for me as a wearer, as a person, it's not really relevant.
But it makes you a super role model dad.
That's true.
Inspires your daughter.
And yeah, we have Hamilton in the shop because Rob Nuts is really in love with the Murph. Balázs, Mike, and myself really love the Intrometric Chrono. I think it's really a job well done by Hamilton. It's a very, very sympathetic group of people there as well. And Rado is
an amazing guy who went to Tissot.
Yeah. And Rado is also interesting because in the past I only knew Rado from their ceramic watches that were worn by a lot of German tourists that we had in our little village back in the day. So that was my connection with Rado, and that changed immediately when they came with the Captain Cook. And of course, I knew the Dia Star, which I really like, but the Captain Cook changed the image for me for Rado. So I really want to have that Captain Cook in the shop, which I really adore. It's a super nice watch. We picked the green one because I like the green. And the other one is also interesting. The Golden Horse was selected by Mike Stockton. He wrote a lengthy article about it, how cool that watch was. And then I got one for review as well. And we said, put it on the Beds of Rice bracelet. And it's a super, super nice watch. And we had them here in the office. We had a stack of watches. And when people came in, the first watch that they took from the table was this one with the red dial and the Beds of Rice bracelet. It's a super nice watch.
Funny.
Yeah, it's
and
amazing.
And also did a great job, and they had some internal musical chairs going on, so they switched positions.
Yeah.
But,
now Rado CEO that I spoke to back then is now Longines.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's a super cool watch. And normally it comes only with this leather strap, but we said, come on, Rado, we want to have the stainless steel bracelet, and we offer it for the same price. So
yeah, cool.
It's amazing. We will have more brands that we like and that we know our audience likes, and we will have a limited edition with a brand this year. Something super, super nice in November.
Cool.
Yeah.
And RJ, do you want to do some polling and some market research and ask our viewers what they think that if we would collaborate more?
Sure, go ahead.
So RJ and I, anyways, we're friends and we talk. And when they did ecom, we don't see them as competitors. We were super happy, and I actually pushed you a bit to do it, right? I'm like, dude, you're the last man standing. You're last of the Mohicans, but I think it does add value, and I believe you guys have super integrity. So you will split journalism with commerce, and I think you guys actually did it on the website with a top-level URL as well.
Yeah.
And we brainstorm anyways about the industry and about commerce and watch brands and everything, and we're looking for ways also to work more together. And we were thinking of, and I'm talking out loud, guys, and please send your comments if you would like that. So I offered RJ, if he still has his Frederik Constant, make a little pop-up store at Ace, a Fratello pop-up store, to help out a friend. People want to see it physically, right? Because I believe in ecom. I think we were the first in the world to do IWC and many other brands back in 2007. So I'm a total believer of ecom, but I believe in omni-channel. So I still do believe that we need to touch products. I don't know if you saw the interview with Julien Tournat of Zenith.
No, I didn't have time for that, but I will watch it. I can watch it back. I see, and
I told him that after being born in this industry, I got fooled by product photos of their Shadow Revival launch. When I thought on the photography it was so dark that the microblasted titanium was DLC coded. So when we got the product, I saw it was dark gray titanium, and even I got fooled by pictures. With that knowledge. So I distribute holding.
There's definitely space to, and it's also for me that I really at some point I want to have like this physical location. Because I think it's important that if you want to see it in the flesh, you should be able to do so. And whether that's at a pop-up at Ace or another location, I think in the end you want to try the watch, you want to feel the watch, and if you don't have a click with it or you don't bond with the watch, then that's also your answer. You should not buy it, but it could also be a confirmation of what you already thought, that it's your watch, basically. And so I really believe in this synergy between online and offline.
So that's something we've been brainstorming, guys. And actually, when we both do something, we do it for our fellow watch lovers, for the consumers. In the end, we do it for you guys. So we're very curious, should we do it? We've been brainstorming, should we take brand XYZ and do an event in store together? Or should we even start retailing together?
Hey, that's old.
So Dal is
it's this watch.
Time machine. Yeah, that's when you bought. That's proof that we actually bought the same G-Shock.
Yes.
At a pop-up event that we did with a sneaker store. So I don't know what year this was, but
well, it was the 30th, 2013, I think, right?
So 7 years ago. Yeah, they did the 35th anniversary last year, I think. So yeah. So here's yours. So we love to think out of the box at Ace. We don't think things are set in stone. Things are changing. So we would love to hear, and you can answer here, or you can leave comments on YouTube, Facebook, send us a message. Should we do more? And if so, what would you want us to do more? So that's a question I have for our viewers. We're running past 90 minutes already.
Wow.
I think we're still having... Bart is asking for a scoop.
Yeah, November is the scoop.
Yeah, so stay tuned, Bart.
It will be very, very nice.
Awesome. All
Thank
right.
you.
Listen, RJ, I'm getting thirsty.
Yeah, me too.
We should do another session.
Yes.
I had real here on the Ace List Live. I want to thank you very, very, very much. I had fun, like always, when we speak. The next episode is coming Monday at 1 p.m.
Release
now then.
Very cool.
I want to hear about the blast. What did you think of the blast? Did you see it?
We were at the Geneva Watch Days 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it was a super nice setting. They used their own boutique, which I think brands should use their boutique more often to receive press, do previews, do things. And Ulysse Nade is not my brand. I'm super honest here, but I really like their diving watches.
Mm-hmm.
Those are very cool. Black and yellow one was very proper. I don't think it's a new. I don't know if it's a new one or from last year, but I really like their diving watches. But they have a nice history as well with Uxelin, and one of our team members, Gerard. He has this perpetual calendar, and I think it was one of the first, or perhaps it was the first perpetual calendar where you could go back and forth in the calendar settings.
Does he have the Ludwig?
I think it is, yes.
Yeah. I think so. It's amazing. And I'm wearing the Freak X. Have you had that on your wrist already?
I think I had during a press meeting.
No, but I mean for a week or something.
No, never had. No.
That's the next one I'm loaning you. You got to experience that. But I think they go very contemporary. So I call them baby Uurwerk, baby MBNFs.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas they can go entry-level, nice diving watches. But okay, that's Monday. So tune in. RJ, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope to touch more brands, but
next time.
We committed for a second session.
Next time.
Thank you so much. Send my regards to Fleur and Charlotte.
I will. You do the same. home, and I wish you a lot of strength with my colleague Rob Nuts.
We know him for quite some years, and I actually love that guy. I love his energy.
He's very good.
That promises. So he's the managing editor.
He's
what are you today?
Sorry.
So he's the managing editor. Does he manage you now, or are you managing him?
Yeah, he seems to be managing everyone, and he is the managing editor since January 1st. Yeah. And he does an amazing job. He's really good. And
he's a watchmaker, by the way. Nobody knows that, but he's an actual watchmaker.
Yeah, he's a watchmaker by trade, actually, and he worked for a couple of watch brands and groups, and he did a lot of stuff for various brands, and he lives in Dresden, so very close to the German heart of watchmaking.
Yeah, he took care of us.
Don't show his picture.
He actually got us our first Nomos Ace Limited, so he has a special place in my heart. So
very good. Very
bad word about him. So mark that date in your diaries, the 1st of October, easy to remember.
And Rob and I share a lordship.
Pardon?
Rob and I share a lordship. Ask him about it.
Okay, I will. All right. I'll mark that down. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I wish you all the best with your upcoming sessions. It was a lot of fun. I'm happy that I prepared. So next time I should prepare also. And I'm looking forward to the next time. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Obadiah.
And thanks for the questions to all viewers.
Thank you indeed. Thank you all for your passionate interaction with us. It's a joy. We have, by the way, I see our buddy Geert is watching, which is RJ's colleague. He's writing on Facebook. It's not the Ludwig. He has the perpetual GM.
Oh yeah, that's the one. Right. Yes.
And Ruben is writing nice background. This is an Ace alumnus. So I have a feeling he was there when we shot that watch at the Ace Photo Studio. Thank you, Ruben, for watching. All right, now we're really going to end the broadcast. Yes. Take care, buddy. Ciao.
Thank you. And you. Bye-bye. Ciao.